foolish mortals.
Hello there. Are you insane? Get out of here!
Remain seated with your seatbelt fastened.
Right, off you go.
Welcome to Average Joe Orlando. Hello, theme park goers. Hope everybody had a great August. It is time for our first theme park monthly recap. Now, we're going to round out each month with one of these, where we're going to highlight some of the big theme park news that happened this past month, and then go ahead and look to next month of what's to come. Now, there is actually a lot to cover this one. For the first one, it was D23 at Disney. So for those of you who don't know what that is the big convention out in California that they do every other year. And they do a panel on each of these where they announce things that are coming to the parks. And there were a lot of announcements. So we will get into some of the announcements as well as some of my opinions on some of the announcements. Also talk about some Universal news and some SeaWorld as well. So let's dive right in. Let's start by talking about Universal Orlando. And I won't go too deep into this as there is an entire episode I dedicated to summer experiences at Universal featuring the Mega Movie Parade, Sensational. They have the DreamWorks Land, Hogwarts Always. So there was a lot of stuff happening this past month and this summer over at Universal Orlando. Also, they are currently under preparations for Halloween Horror Nights as well, which we'll get into in a little bit. So Universal, not too much to talk about at the moment since there is an entire episode. I do want to talk quickly on SeaWorld. So SeaWorld as well had the past month. They closed over their 60th anniversary parade, but they did open Penguin Trek, their new family launch coaster that features a small show scene. If you remember their old Antarctica ride that used to be, I used to call it like a hockey puck through Costco is essentially what the ride was. Great technology, just not utilized well. Well, it never reopened since COVID, so they gutted that building where the penguins were and made an attraction in there as well with the penguin exhibit. And so that is going on over at SeaWorld Orlando. Now for Disney, which will take up the majority of this episode. They started this month with Not So Scary, Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, started August 9th, which is the earliest they have ever done it. I am a huge Halloween fan. It is my favorite holiday. There will be a lot of Halloween episodes coming out soon. However, August 9th is a little too early for me. I will get behind end of August. I already started lighting those Bath & Body Works candles around my house. However, August 9th, a little early, and also in Florida, very hot. However, they've been selling out, very popular party. Not many changes from the past few years. They did add Bruno from Encanto, and then just a few little things, but for the most part, it is the same party as every year. Also, looking back to July, Genie Plus, or whatever you want to call it, the Genie Pass is gone, and they started their new system as well with the Lightning Lanes. Also, Tiana's Bayou Adventure opened this summer. The new Country Bears show opened this summer, and then Test Track closed for Test Track 2.0, where next year Test Track 3.0 will open. So smaller things this year as well for Disney, just layovers and updates to attractions, kind of similar to Epic Universe. Seems like a slower summer in Orlando. A slower summer in Orlando based on other ones where we used to have a whole land or world opening. Of course, next summer we have Epic Universe opening, and then with some of the announcements that we're going to get to from D23, we definitely know that there is a lot coming to Disney World, hopefully. Now, I say hopefully because D23 has been known to make these big, grand announcements, and then some of them have fizzled away in the past, and then we never see them. So it's one of those that we take everything with a grain of salt, even though they started it by saying this is not blue sky, these attractions are happening, and then we see the concept art, and then we'll see what it actually looks like. I still remember watching one of the D23s when they live streamed it, and it was a theater on, I think it was Town Square area over at the Magic Kingdom, and they were going to do a big theater over there, and they were going to do a show, and then it quietly disappeared. We also remember, of course, the Play Pavilion or Mary Poppins, which have never happened, and we just don't talk about anymore. So there were some interesting ones that haven't happened. So I think we should take everything with a grain of salt that they announced, and then we'll see what happens. Not to mention, we don't know where some of them are going. But let's dive into them right away, right now. We'll start with Disney World, and we'll also go into the other parks as well. But Disney World, first thing is the Monsters, Inc. Land. Now, this door coaster has been rumored for a long time, so it's very interesting to see that they decided to brush it off after over 10 years of kind of being put on hold. But the Monsters Inc. Coaster is joining a Monsters Inc. land, and there's been a lot of speculation about where this is going. Personally, I will be very upset if they replace the Muppets, because if you ask me, Disney has destroyed the Muppets in general, and this is the last remaining Muppet thing that we have that is great, so do not touch the Muppets. I'm hoping they're going to go put it over where Star Wars Launch Bay is, since Star Wars is already scattered throughout that park in random areas for no reason. There's Star Tours, Launch Bay, and then, of course, the Star Wars land. So get rid of Launch Bay and put it over there. That would be a perfect area in my eyes. Or maybe expand the park out. I don't know. We don't have to demolish things. I think that's one of the big things that we got out of the announcements at D23 is that people are upset that they want to demolish things. And it's one of those weird ones where if you look at Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, that they had to demolish the Great Movie Ride for that. But Disneyland, the one that's landlocked, found space for it and built it without having to knock anything down. So it's definitely one of those things where you look and you kind of get upset that Disney World knocks down attractions instead of just expanding. A big thing for Disney recently has been capacity issues, and they don't have enough stuff to do. So you also don't want to knock down something and replace it. Just add on to it, because you always want to have more attractions for the people to do. Because if you always look at the stats, the park attendance keeps rising, keeps going up, but there's nowhere to put everybody. So even over at, let's say, Magic Kingdom, we have Tiana's. However, that's just replaced Splash Mountain. The only new thing that we really got was Tron. However, you can never get on it anyway. But that's another story. But yeah, first announcements, Monsters Inc. Door Coaster. I'm excited about it. It looks cool. But with all these, we'll be very curious of when it actually happens. The next one is not a surprise. I'll talk about it over at Animal Kingdom in Dino Land. So we're getting a whole replacement for Dino Land, which is sad. It kind of feels like when you watch Jurassic World and they say people are bored of dinosaurs, and you're like, how could that happen? And I don't understand it either. I love the dinosaur ride. It is part of my tag over here. I always have the get out of here. No, that's not it. That's the Mummy, which is the one from Dinosaur. Oh, hello there in the beginning. So that's Dinosaur. That's a great ride. And yes, Indiana Jones is the superior attraction. They have the same one over in Disney Sea, and it's fantastic as well. So it is great that we're getting the Indiana Jones ride, but it would be nice if we could have both. I do love the dinosaur ride, even though half of it never works, and most of it's in the dark. It's just quotable, and it's fantastic. It is exciting we're getting an Encanto ride. We do need an Omni-Mover type ride in that park. However, when you look at it, also in a carousel, but when you look at it, we're kind of getting a 1-for-1. So the Dino Land replacement is just kind of taking Dinosaur, replacing it, taking the where Primeval Whirl was and the Triceratops spin and replacing that with 2 other rides, and then losing the playground. So really not adding capacity again. Also in Animal Kingdom, they're getting the new show Inside the Tree of Life with Zootopia characters. Feel a little mixed about that. There was always that talk that Joe Rohde, the head Imagineer of Animal Kingdom, never wanted talking animals, but now he's not here anymore, so it's more of doing a little more cartoony version. But at the end of the day, we had talking ants and bugs before that. I still love Tough to Be a Bug. I will miss Tough to Be a Bug. I will mostly miss the end when they all go running out and you hear everybody scream from one side of the theater to the other. That brings me joy. And let's go over quickly to Epcot. Now, Epcot, unfortunately, didn't get much. And as we know, last time they got a ton of stuff and then it was cut. But Test Track 3.0 is basically all that we heard about for that park. Now, the Imagination attraction definitely needs a major overhaul. We've been waiting for that for years, and it looks like we are going to be stuck with the old one still. Coco, we are getting a Coco boat ride, but not in Epcot, over at Disney's California Adventure, because that makes sense. The Play Pavilion, no announcements on that. It looks like that building will just sit abandoned still. And the Mary Poppins attraction, let's not talk about it, I guess, and just pretend that it never happened. So very interesting that we kind of just moved on and said, hey, Epcot, you got your overhaul, which I feel like it didn't, but and just getting Test Track. Magic Kingdom's the one that's getting the most love, which is good. Magic Kingdom needs it. Magic Kingdom is the one that everybody comes here for. It's the one that everybody says, I'm going to Disney World today. And you're like, which park? And they said, Disney. Which park? Disney. Okay, you're going to Magic Kingdom. So that's the one that everybody associates with it. It is the most busy park in the world. So it does need some stuff. Starting with a new nighttime parade. And this is so needed. I remember back in the day when Epcot had a parade, and then you think over Hollywood Studios had Block Party Bash, and then we had Mickey's Jam and Jungle Parade over at Animal Kingdom. So there's always different parades. And then, of course, we had Spectro Magic, the superior of the two, and the Main Street Electrical Parade. So it's nice that we're getting a new nighttime parade. I do think we didn't need to spend the budget on a new nighttime parade. I would love to know where Paint the Night is, and would love to know if we could blow the dust off of that and bring that back, because Paint the Night is excellent, and it was one of those parades that you really don't see and hear of after the 60th over at Disneyland. So either way, hey, beggars can't be choosers. Getting a nighttime parade at the Magic Kingdom. The next one is the Frontierland expansion. Now this one definitely, since the announcement, has caused a lot of controversy. We're getting a Cars attraction over in Frontierland. Nothing like Cars in the Wild West. However, I do have to say I do appreciate that it's not the exact same ride from California, even though the ride in California is fantastic. But this one's going to be a brand new attraction set over in that area. And they said beyond Big Thunder Mountain. So the original concept was, okay, this is exciting. We're getting an area beyond Big Thunder Mountain. And also a smaller kids ride, they said, or as Josh Damaro put it, a brand new exciting attraction that they've been working on. And all I could say is it better not be another alien swirling saucers. Let's be a little more creative. But in recent news and rumors is that they are filling in the Rivers of America, where the Liberty Boat goes, and closing Tom Sawyer Island to put in this land. And I am super not okay with that. I don't even know how to say it nicely. Family podcast, so let's keep it cheap. But you can't do that. That has such kinetic energy to the park. The Liberty Boat is that perfect attraction to go and people watch and just relax along the river. And yes, it is massive over there. I personally am for if you want to shrink down the area a little bit and do a smaller track, but still have the water element just so that you could build some space to get around and behind. But it looks like they're doing basically the cheaper option and just saying, instead of trying to build a way to go behind it and have to interrupt, let's just fill in this space. And I am definitely not for that. I am for an expansion. I'm for new attractions, but I'm not for building 2 new attractions to close 2 attractions. And granted, they're not popular attractions. I can't tell you the last time I went to Tom Sawyer Island, but they're still classic attractions that should stay in the park. And when you are blessed with all this land, which is Walt Disney World, you don't need to close things to build something new. You can expand the park. So that one's going to be very interesting if they do end up doing this as well. I am 100% even for keeping the river, making it smaller, and turning the boat into like a Tiana restaurant or something, like anything. Just don't get rid of the river. Anyway, the other one is a Villains Land. Super exciting. Definitely got the biggest reaction. This was how they ended everything over there as well, saying, okay, a big Villains Land. The concept art, if you have seen it, it looks nothing like what a theme park land is. So who knows if they even know what they're doing with this. And also, it's be very curious of how long it's going to take to get this land. So I'm excited, but I'm also apprehensive on what we're going to get, because this needs to be their big thing. It seems like the Villains Land is their reaction to Epic Universe. And it's always good to have the competition between the two parks here, because they kind of keep making each other push further and go further ahead. We got Pandora because of Harry Potter, and it kept going back and forth. And it seems like Epic Universe, Disney's like, we have to do something big. And what's bigger than the villains, and do a Villains Land. So this will be very interesting to see what we get, and then it'll also be really interesting to see when we get it. But yeah, so that's what's going on over at Walt Disney World. We got no dates other than they're breaking ground this year or they're doing it next year. So as we know, it does take Disney a long time to build. If you haven't seen the middle of Epcot, where we basically took 5 years to build a Google campus. But let's move on to Disneyland over in California. So some quick things, I'll just touch on them. They have the Coco boat ride coming in California Adventure, as well as an Avatar Land, which once again, happy to see it is not a cookie cutter copy from Walt Disney World. It's going to be one to the Journey of Water. If you see the concept art too, the boat ride seems very similar to the Pirates of the Caribbean ride in Shanghai, which is interesting. So that'll be neat. Just curious where that's going to go. And then also some Marvel attractions as well, which are definitely much needed, being a giant franchise and only really having that Spider-Man ride and Guardians. But yeah, not the best. So it'll be good that Disneyland's getting some love as well. Just curious to see where they go and when everything goes in. What they did need, and if you've ever been to Disneyland, you know this, is Tomorrowland. That needs an overhaul. Tomorrowland just looks sad out there. It looks very underwhelming. Doesn't look anything like tomorrow. It looks like Yesterdayland, I guess. But they have the old People Mover tracks up there, which are kind of being overgrown. It just feels like a relic of what it used to be. And it was one of those things that it was like, okay, at Disney World, we needed imagination, Coco, play, Poppins, and Disneyland really needed a Tomorrowland. So it's exciting to get all these new things and all these new announcements, but it's also one of those things of you can't keep building new if you're not going to fix up the old. So it'd be interesting to see if Tomorrowland does start to get any updates or anything like that. Disneyland Paris got some announcements as well. Unfortunately, still no new rides in the Disneyland Paris park. I was just there actually last week. Great park. Beautiful park is the Disneyland park. However, there's nothing really new there, which is interesting. And if you look, they have a lot of land and they just don't really touch it. And mostly because the Walt Disney Studios park next door, or as the soon to be named Adventure World, which makes no sense, that park needs a lot of love, and it definitely does being there. It's a great show park. They have some amazing shows. I definitely need to do a whole episode just on Disneyland Paris. However, the shows are kind of what keeping people in that park. So it's going to be exciting that they're getting a Lion King boat ride. They're also getting the Frozen World. They're getting a nighttime show on the new lake. So that park does need the love. But over in the Disneyland Paris park, their main park, they are getting a new fireworks show next year, which is very exciting. They also announced some stuff for Cruise Line getting more ships, and then also for the parks over in Asia as well, some new expansions. So I won't go too deep into everything just because there is a lot to cover. But D23, definitely check it out online for the concept art as well as more in-depth details of everything. But there was definitely a lot of great announcements coming out of there. Well, let's start looking ahead at what is to come in Orlando next month. So as I mentioned, this is the last week of August 2024, and that's kind of what we just recapped the summer as well as what happened this past month. But looking ahead, we are getting into the fall season, and it may be 90-something degrees out, but as I mentioned, it's Halloween, and it is time for that. So coming to SeaWorld is Howl-O-Scream. Now, I will have an episode coming up talking about all the Halloween offerings coming to the theme parks. But Howl-O-Scream, this will be the 4th year now at SeaWorld Orlando. It is much smaller than Howl-O-Scream over at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Now, Busch Gardens, Tampa is the original Howl-O-Scream. They changed up things a little more frequently. They have a larger event. Howl-O-Scream at SeaWorld will be a little bit smaller, however, still fun. Very different from Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. Not only is it a little bit more low budget, it's a little bit, to me, a little bit more scary because it is a little quieter, a little creepier, a little more eerie. The actors talk to you, so that's also a little more awkward. Not my style, but Howl-O-Scream will be starting next month over at SeaWorld. And then looking ahead further, then we go into the holiday season at SeaWorld, which we will definitely be talking about because they have some great holiday offerings as well. Over at Halloween Horror Nights at Universal Orlando is the next one that will be starting. It'll actually starting this Thursday. They are doing, for the first time ever, a preview night. So very curious to see how that goes. We'll have to report on that next month. This is basically, it's $300 and something for one night. However, it will be a night before opening night with a limited selling tickets and then also food included and promises to have low wait time. So I'm very curious to see how that one goes. And then Friday starts the first night for Halloween Horror Nights. They will have 48 nights this year, so one of the longest seasons ever. They used to back in the day. I remember it was only Friday, Saturday, Sundays, and then they started increasing till Thursdays and then adding Wednesdays. This one's basically jumping in right away with a bunch of Wednesdays and through Sundays, and then also going till 2 a.m. every night. It used to be till midnight. So they have 10 new haunted houses. Of course, the food offerings, shows, scare zones. Excited to do a whole deep dive review of the houses this year. I know looking ahead at the houses, I already picked out what I'm hoping to be the favorites every year. I will tell you I do nerd out. I will be there all opening weekend. I will be doing an RIP tour this year, so excited to report back on that as well. An RIP tour is their VIP tours where they have a guide taking you as well around, so very excited to see that too. So Halloween Horror Nights, kicking off at the end of the week. Exciting. And then over at Disney, how can I forget that place? Over at Disney, Food and Wine starts on the 29th. So Food and Wine, I remember it used to start earlier than later. So it's nice that it starts now on August 29th. And that'll be running through the holidays where we start over with the holiday seasons, and they'll start up all those carts as well. So the Food and Wine Festival starting this week as well. So as I mentioned, a lot of things coming in the fall. Hopefully some cooler weather as well to enjoy Food and Wine. They have a great concert list as well. Actually, let's take a look at that right now. So I did get word from some of my friends that the concert list was pretty exciting this year. So let's take a look at this together and see what we get over at the Eat to the Beat. So if you didn't know, they do an Eat to the Beat concert series. All their festivals usually have a series with it. So you have the Art Festival, which has Festival of the Arts, which is different Broadway performers doing music. And then you have the Garden Rocks one, which is more older bands, Eat to the Beat. And then you have the holidays where, of course, you have the Candlelight Processional. So it looks like they're starting strong. Fray will be there August 30th and 31st. I remember seeing them back in the day, and I paid for that, so that'll be good. Oh, Sugar Ray's coming, as always. Hoobastank, Yellow Card. All right. Skim. Don't know. The Wanted. All right. I don't know who some of these other people are, so we're just going to keep going. Okay, let's look over at October. And then October, Joey Fatone and Friends, which is always a busy one. So if you don't know Joey Fatone and Friends, since Joey lives in Orlando, I think still, he will bring different friends. I went last year. We didn't know what was even going on. We showed up, and Ryan Cabrera came out and like Lance Bass. So that was pretty cool. So they'll do like in-sync stuff. Don't expect Justin, but still cool. Switchfoot. Who else we got? Hanson, always popular every year. And then in November, Boys to Men, always have them every year as well. And Smash Mouth, which is interesting because I don't think the lead singer is alive anymore. Oh, that's sad. But Smash Mouth will be there, and then ending, of course, with 98 Degrees. Yeah, so very interesting lineup over here. I won't go through everybody there is on the website. The full list, I kind of went on ones that were from my high school days of thinking for music and going, I just dated myself, but some exciting bands coming to Epcot that will probably be extremely busy. Well, if you didn't make it down to the summer events that were going on here at the parks, that's okay. It was very hot. Hopefully you can make it down this fall and it will cool down a little bit as well, as we have a lot of stuff going on here in Orlando. But with that, I will see you in the parks.
Thanks for taking a ride with Average Joe Orlando.
You made it! I knew you would. Is everyone okay? Hope you still want to open an account.
Say cheese. See you later.
Thanks, everybody. You were brilliant.
At this time, gather up your personal belongings and take your small grubs by their grubby little hands as you exit. Thank you.